Hey YouTube, so today we're going to do a alternator on a Kia Sedona van. Pretty simple job, so for those of you who have this vehicle, you might want to check this out. Quick and easy. This has got the 3.8 liter motor in it, Kia. Now when you first open the hood, we've already taken the battery out because you got to charge that. When you first open the hood, you'll notice it looks kind of intimidating because of the cover here. You'll need a 10mm ratchet to get down and get those 10mm bolts out. Once you take those bolts out, this cover just lifts up and off. And look at that. It looks like any other motor. Okay. Let's sit this cover off to the side here. Your alternator is located right here in the front. Alright. That's the alternator right there. As you can see, this one has a whole bunch of oil and debris on it. Probably why it went out. Not to mention it's old. And it's a pretty simple job to do. Alright. So, but the first thing, if you haven't taken your battery loose, you want to go ahead and take your battery loose. You don't want your battery to be connected because you will be messing with the there's a wire on the side over here that comes directly off the battery and it's positive. And if you don't disconnect the battery and there's a little juice in there, you can mess around and ground it and, you know, spark and, you know, cause yourself some other issues that you don't want to cause. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the belt. Alright, so we'll take the belt off. There's a tensioner down at the bottom. That nut right. Alright. The first thing we're going to do is take the belt off, and the belt tensioner, I'm going to zoom in down here, I want you to see this. On this it's got a tensioner pivot bolt behind that bolt you see there. Okay, you see that bolt right there? That's not the one you want. You want the one where you see that socket on. Okay, so when you hit that bolt right there, it's not actually a bolt, it's a bolt facing. Okay. You can go ahead and pull it. It'll release the tension on it so that we can get the belt off. Alright, you see how that's loosened the belt up? Okay. See how that's moving? See how that moves the belt? Alright, so we'll take the belt off and then you can get a better view of that pivot nut that's up under there. Alright, so we have the belt off, and as you see, it's the nut right there. You see that pivot nut right there? That's the one you want. Okay, you put your socket on that. Not the big nut, but the one that's up under the wheel there. Okay. Got a point to it. You want that one right there. Not that one. Not that one. Not right there. So you put your socket on that. And another quick way of being able to tell, that's a 19mm. And that nut is an 18mm socket. So get your 19mm and stick it on that face. And then you can take the belt tension off. And as you see, we have the belt tension off there. Now we can pull this nut here. The other nut is hidden down behind this pulley. So we'll take a screwdriver. We'll pry that cap off. We'll go ahead and pull this pulley too. That way we can have access, easy access to that nut. Alright, to pull that pulley off, you'll need a 14mm. Now if the belt's in your way, you can go ahead and move it all the way out of the way, but it's not really going to be in the way from here. That's the pulley there. You can see it's kind of getting a little worn there from the oil and the heat and the wear, so eventually that'll need to be replaced as well. Set that out of the way for now. Alright, now back to the alternator. see we have a bolt here connected and a bolt here connecting. We'll pull those 2 bolts, and then the alternator will be free. Alright, so let's take our bolt out. One, that's a 14mm socket you'll need to get these bolts out as well. Alright, we have that one out. Don't worry, those 2 bolts are the same size, so don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. And now if you have that loose, we'll pry them forward. We'll just take like a little screwdriver or pry bar, and we can pry it forward, and that'll come loose. All right. Now we have our new part here, as you can see. That's where your top bolt was, and then when you look down here, that's where your bottom bolt was. All right. On the side here are your electrical connections. Now you'll see there. That's where that positive battery cable will be, and then you have your electrical plug-up connection there. All right. So, if you can get to it, you can do it while it's in the car, like so. Or I like to go ahead and, since I have it unbolted, I like to go ahead and disconnect it. I'll pry this down. I'm gonna get my pry bar. We'll pry that down and loose, and then we'll have easier access to those 2 bolts. We'll use this little pry bar. So just pry that forward. Right. Now that it's loose, reach in there, put your hand and pull it forward. Alright, now we have those 2 over there. Those 2 connections over there. So you can pull this around. Pull that up and around. Through. Doing this with one hand is a little bit more complicated. So what you'll do is you'll maneuver this around, right, twist it around, then I can reach down there. I'll get my 10mm and unscrew that right there, that connection there. I can't film it and do it because it's kind of hard to do. But I'm going to try to get it twisted around so you can see it. Right angle. There we go. Alright. Now, as you can see, I've got clear access to the wire right there. Alright, yeah. Clear access to that cap. Fold the cap up. Cover rather, and then once you pull that cover back, you see that's the one nut right there we were talking about, right there under that cover, and then we can reach down and get that plug in right there. Alright, so as you can see, you can actually pull this alternator all the way up so that you can reach the connections all the way up here into the wheel well, and it's still connected. One thing you'll want to do is come over here and see that little tab piece right there, and just disconnect that wire. That's the wire, the main wire for the alternator. So you can maneuver it, and then you pull it all the way up and out. Then once you get it up and out, then you can have easy access to remove those 2 bolts, well, those 2 connectors. One of them is a bolt connector under that rubber cap, and the other one's just a squeeze connector. Squeeze that, pull it off, unbolt that, boom. Alternator's out. This is a really simple job, okay? Going back in, as you can see, this right here, unscrew that, screw that wire back on. There's that plug in, plug it back in, and then take it and work it back down in there. All right, there's enough space where you can just actually pull it up and out of there. Okay, so I hope this helps you out. It's more intimidating to look at this job as opposed to actually doing it. I know there's some people who want to take off the whole front end of the vehicle, and you know, all that's unnecessary. You don't have to take off the fans or none of that. You don't even have to take off the motor mount, okay? There's enough space for you to pull this alternator up out of there, even though it's still connected with the wires, all right? And there's still enough space where you can still, you know, have finger room down in there to get to that. So, if you have any questions or comments, please post, chat, subscribe. Thanks for watching. We're going to get this vehicle back together. Putting it together is the same, it's the reverse of removing it. If you got it off, you should be able to get it on. Okay, now one thing with a new alternator, you want to make sure you have a good battery. So we have our battery being fully charged. You know, some people are like, oh, give me a jump and then I'll let my alternator charge my battery up. Well, that's a good way to wear your alternator out. The alternator is designed to charge your battery up from full, you know, from it being fully dead. You know what I mean? The alternator is designed to provide power to the car, as well as, you know, trickle charging the battery back to capacity so that the next time you need to start it. All right. That's the basic principle of it. It's a little bit more complicated than that on some cars, because some cars use more battery power as opposed to the power drawn off the alternator. But that's a whole different video, whole different discussion, whole different type of car. Foreign. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please post, chat, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and help me out. Put this on like your Facebook and stuff, and share this with the world so that I can get some views and some subscribership and all that. If there's a particular video you'd like to see, let me know. I'll try to get it together and get it out there for you. Other than that, Happy New Year. May everyone's 2020 be better than last year. And I mean, may everyone's 2021 be better than everyone's 2020. You know what I mean. Anyway, I'm just glad to be here in 2021, and I'm looking forward to new, bigger, brighter things. Have a great day, YouTube. Subscribe, post, chat. Thanks.